What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? This is the Fourth and Fantasy Podcast, episode 14 coming at you. My name's Meek. Always got my co-host Wu across the table.
What's going on?
Wu, what we got going on today, brother?
Today's a really fantastic day for so many reasons. One thing I just want to highlight really quickly, and then we'll get into football. But we bring up college basketball last week. Shout out to all my Duke fans. How'd it feel to lose that game?
Gotta give it to them.
Oh
Time
my
for
God.
bed, Duke. Time for bed. It was a nice
I hate
try.
them so much. I want on record that I am Duke's biggest hater, specifically the men's college basketball team. All-time choke job, and yeah, today's just awesome. I love it.
I love it. I love the college football rants. You probably heard a new voice on here. We have a special guest today, actually. Kyle, welcome to the table. So just give the people a little background on your background with fantasy football and what brought you here today.
Yeah, I 7th grade, I discovered fantasy football. I created a league by myself, ran through a season, basically, I think it was just like a random ESPN league. Then created a league for my hometown friends and my family, and just been hooked ever since.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's how it goes.
Yeah. For those of you guys who don't know, I think we mentioned it once on the show, but Wu and I, we joined a Dynasty football league. Kyle's actually the commissioner of the league, and we're super excited to get that going. I think we're doing that around June, right? June
1st.
Yeah, June 1st, right at the top. We love it. So, like I said before, this is episode 14. Just want to give everyone a quick shout out. We've hit 810 plus plays over Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. Please, just like all the previous episodes, make sure you run it up and give us some love. Make sure you follow us on all of our socials: Twitter at Fourth and Fantasy Pod, Instagram and TikTok at Fourth and Fantasy, YouTube we're on Fourth and Fantasy. If you have not had a chance to check out last week's episode, we did a rookie mock draft and we actually recorded it so you can follow along with us, just like we're going to do in this episode.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Another thing I want to just gotta give a quick shout out to ourselves about is we're actually working with a fantasy football company. They go by Fantasy Trading Room. We actually made a video for them. So make sure you check it out on YouTube. We talked about post free agency, buy sell targets. It was actually a really, really, really cool video for Will and I to do. But we're going to be creating content for them as going forward. So make sure you give them a follow, subscribe on YouTube. Again, it's Fantasy Trading Room.
Yeah, they got some great stuff there.
Absolutely. But we're here at this table, and I love giving the quick question of the day. Quick question of the day, Wu. I'm going to start with you, and then we'll go around the table. Name one player that had a poor 2024 that you expect to bounce back in 2025.
Yeah, the first name that's come to mind, I've mentioned him on here before, but I'm gonna stick with Travis Etienne. I just really like the situation that is coming in this season. They bring in Liam Cohen as their new head coach. Doug Peterson is gone. And it was just so strange, the year before in 23, he has that great year all across the table. He's running the ball well. They utilize him in the passing game. And then all of a sudden last year, it was all just gone. And Tank Bigsby starts to creep into those touches. And it was just a disaster of a season for him. So now they bring in Liam Cohen, who just had a great year with Tampa Bay, who also had a very, very good running game. So I'm hoping he brings some of those pieces over and gets my man ETN back into the game.
Listen, I love to hear that because I have ETN on my Dynasty roster, so I'm looking for some sort of life to come from him. So
yeah,
I'm excited for that. Kyle, I'll kick it to you. Who's your bounce back player for 2025?
My guy is going to be Breece Hall. Everyone seems to hate Breece Hall now. It's kind of his turn to be hated. All the reports now, you've got the Samini guy for the Jets. He's like, they're going to draft Genty. It's going to be a committee, or I don't know. I'm calling bottom on Breece Hall. This is the time to buy.
Okay.
Ooh,
the guy was 18th in the league in all-purpose yards, almost 1,400, and apparently the worst season ever. He was hurt. His knee was busted. He still was going out to play. Yeah, 1,400 yards, and he missed a game.
Yes.
And he hasn't had a 1,000-yard rushing season yet.
Has not.
Just wait.
I don't know if you know, Kyle, but on this podcast, Wu has stamped down and said that Breece is going to have a wide receiver or a running back one season in the next 3 years.
He's already done it, too. He was RB2.
I'm talking
No, he's saying the one, running back one.
Yeah. I think that's definitely possible. He finishes RB2 a couple years ago.
I think it was 2 years ago.
But also, Braylon Allen sucks. Like everyone's like, Braylon Allen can play. He ran for 3.6 yards to carry. He was a 4th-round pick, not a very talented guy. I'm assuming they'll probably draft another guy, but Breece Hall, 1st-round draft pick. He's
I don't know. Just like you were saying though about the possibly taking Genty at 7, I think that absolutely muddies the water for what happens. Like what do you do? Do you trade him? Do you do a 1-2 punch? I'm sure he's probably not happy, and I think he's going into a contract year, so that's scary. Scary for Breece Hall.
If they draft Genty, then all bets are off. Obviously, I'm not messing around with that.
I'd be so shocked.
Absolutely. My bounce back player for you guys is DJ Moore, wide receiver out of Chicago. DJ Moore finished last year as the wide receiver 17. 2 years ago, he finished as the wide receiver 6, and he had Justin Fields. I don't be worried about DJ Moore. I'm going to tell you right now. Obviously we've highlighted Chicago on this podcast so many times, but I'm going to reiterate the points. Ben Johnson is now the head coach of the Chicago Bears. I went to look back at some PFF grades for the Lions. The Lions were number 6 in passing offense at a PFF. So, those are, positive things to see. They invest in their offensive line. They go and get the best tackle out of, I think it was Atlanta. And then they trade for Jonah Jackson, and then they trade for Joe Tooney. So, they have a solid offensive line to give Caleb Williams time to throw the ball. And DJ Moore's like a stud. We've always talked about it, just waiting on him to get a competent quarterback, and he got one with Justin Fields. I think, it's just a little, we got to give Caleb Williams some time, some grace to turn back to form. But I think with all of those pieces around, I think Caleb Williams is going to be, a great asset for DJ Moore.
Yeah, I think it's really good to see Ryan Poles actually committing to filling these holes that this roster has. And actually putting some talent on the offensive line so his guy has a chance. Because last year he had no shot.
Yeah. So those are our quick question of the day. We do have a couple of pieces of NFL news to talk about, so we're going to try to blitz through that and then get into our mock draft. But first things first, at the top of the board, Trey McBride signs a 4-year, $76 million extension. I think it made him the highest paid tight end of all time.
It's got to be.
But you'll love to see that. As someone who is a Trey McBride Dynasty manager, this is everything that I wanted to see and more. Trey McBride was easily the number 2 tight end last year. I think he tied the previous receptions record, Zach Ertz's record, but then obviously Bowers broke it. But, what do you think? Is this solidified McBride as your dynasty tight end too?
Yeah, I think he could even be in the conversation for one. Sure, Bowers had that crazy year. I don't know what the final numbers were at the end of the year, how many points McBride was behind Bowers.
I'll get that for you.
But if it was anywhere close, God forbid Trey McBride scores 5 touchdowns on the year, we could be having a completely different conversation.
Yeah. Bowers had 262 fantasy points to McBride's 249.
Yeah, so a couple more touchdowns in there. Like he scored twice?
He only had 2, one receiving and then 1 fumble recovery.
Exactly. So, I think he can be a 5+ touchdown guy easily. It's not even like they weren't looking for him in the red zone. It just showed how the season shook out. So I think he should be in the one conversation as well.
Absolutely.
He's such a PPR machine.
I know. Yeah, we love it. Next one we had, Geno Smith signs a 2-year extension worth up to $85.5 million. Kyle, I didn't think Geno Smith was someone who's going to be long-term in Las Vegas, but what do you think?
I think he's going to be fine. It's obviously better. The Raiders haven't had quarterback play in what feels like since Derek Carr.
Yeah. Even then.
Yeah, Geno's fine. It at least makes you trust Bowers more.
Oh, absolutely.
If they get a running back in there, you'll trust that. The offense will be fine. So.
Yeah. I think what I was expecting them to go quarterback, maybe up with that high pick, but I think what you're starting to see, and we talked about this with last episode, where I don't think people are really sold on Shadur Sanders because he's really your second quarterback off the board. Though. Everyone gets inflated by the pro day. See Zach Wilson, but I don't know. What do you think about Geno?
I think it's interesting that Vegas is willing to commit to him and give him this kind of money. I don't know the exact details of the extension, if there are any opt-outs or anything like that. But to give him an extra 2 years, $85 million, that just shows that Vegas thinks this guy's got a couple good years left in him.
Yeah.
And he's going to be their bridge quarterback until they find someone else.
I think it's also has to do with the trust of Pete Carroll. Because Pete Carroll's the head coach, and Gino was with him in Seattle, and it's might as well trot him out for the next 3 years and try to get someone else.
Yep.
Just a quick tidbit from the NFL owners meeting that happened last week. The Packers were the team that proposed the tush push ban. I don't know if you guys saw that, but from what I had heard and what I had saw on Twitter, there was some traction on it to ban the tush push, but I think they ultimately tabled it and they were going to address it next offseason.
I think it's so silly that there's conversations like this. Banning a play, stop it.
Yeah,
stop it.
Just stop. And honestly, my question to everyone else in the league is, what's stopping you from doing it too?
Because other teams do try it and they can't do it as good.
No.
Whose fault is that?
I was going to say the other team I think of a lot is like the Buffalo Bills do it with Josh Allen, but
they cost them that AFC Championship game.
I was going to say the way they do it was so dumb to me, because it's like you run it the same side. Just do it one side and it changes it up. But I don't know. We recently did a Dynasty startup draft, and I drafted Jalen Hurts with my first round pick. So I'm hoping that this goes away, but I think that hurts in a big way if this goes away.
That would stink, but I think it's so silly.
Yeah, and then this one I had to put in for myself. Trey Lance signed a 1-year deal with the Los Angeles Chargers.
Do we have a QB battle on our hands?
We do not have a QB battle on our hands, but I will say I think if there was a place for Trey Lance to going to Jim Harbaugh is probably the best place for him. Obviously, let's be honest, he's the third string quarterback. He's behind Heineke, but they once upon a time had a player just like Trey Lance that had the same skill set, and his name went by Colin Kaepernick. So, I don't know. Just wanted to throw that out there for the people to know.
Yeah, he's still relevant, I guess. This one makes me feel old.
Yeah, this one hurts. Julio Jones, legendary Falcons wide receiver, has finally called it quits. I wish I had all of his career stats, but Julio Jones was a staple in fantasy leagues. Like I think I was maybe blessed to have Julio Jones one time in my years of fantasy football, and it was a ride.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Does he have the greatest Super Bowl catch of all time? Actually, no, I'll just say it.
Behind Edelman. Definitely.
Well, if you would let me finish, maybe I think it is the greatest playoff catch of all time that nobody will remember. Nobody will remember.
Yeah.
It's just, oh, man.
Oh, I remember. I'm going to make myself feel old, but, I remember watching that game when I was in college, had everyone over, and that catch happened. I was like, dude, this game is over. Mm-hmm. Put it in the bank. And then, I don't know, so the Patriots just know how to Patriot.
Cheaters.
All right. So there's our news right there. We're going to go right into the main topic of the show. We're going to hit you up with another Dynasty mock draft. Last week we gave you a rookie mock draft. We did 2 rounds, and we thought, why don't we do a startup mock draft? So we're actually going to use the settings from the Dynasty League that we're actually using with Kyle. I did a random number generator for our spots in the league. These aren't our true spots in the league, but so I have the number 6 pick. I'm stuck right in the middle. But I like this right here. We have Wu's got the 11th pick and Kyle's got the 12th pick, so it's just sniped back and forth. I love it. Mm-hmm. But I'm excited. So in this, there are rookies in the mock draft. We also have the computers going too. So we're going to put this on the board for you so you can follow along. The plan is to do 10 rounds. Obviously, if we breeze through it, and we can do extra rounds, we will, but we're going to try to get through 10, just get through our starting lineups, and then who knows, maybe afterwards we'll post our rosters on our Insta or our socials. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Quick little transition, but like I was saying, we're going to get started with this mock draft here going. So I'm going to start it, and we're going to go.
Josh Allen off the board, no surprise.
Yeah, so a lot of QBs going off the board. So obviously you're watching along. For those of you who are listening, first 5 picks were Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Jaden Daniels, Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow. I am on the clock right now with the 106. I have Jalen Hurts. I have Justin Jefferson. Brock Bowers are some tops on the list. I think what I'm going to do here for this exercise, though, is I'm going to go for the premium position of wide receiver, and I'm going to take Justin Jefferson here.
I like that pick.
I think, he's can't miss, hit in the first round. Obviously some people have different strategies when we talk about Dynasty. If you're in the front, you want to take that quarterback early, but I'm here in the middle, smack dab, and I'm going to take Justin Jefferson.
Yeah, he's pretty fun to have on your team. Huh?
Yeah, why not?
Watching football pretty fun when he's just scoring bomb touchdowns.
I may have had him once a couple times before.
Ugh.
I don't know, that championship in the little cubby right here.
2 of them because of that.
Yeah, we love it.
God.
We love it. All right, so after Justin Jefferson, Jalen Hurts goes off the board, Pat Mahomes, Bijan Robinson, Jahmyr Gibbs. Woo, you are on the clock with the 111.
Yeah, if you're watching on the YouTube, you see the face I just made because I really wanted either Bijan or Gibbs. So they get
neither.
They get sniped right in front of me. So now I've said it before. I'm not huge on the tight ends. I don't really care. I'd rather be dominant in other positions because there's so many other ones you can have.
Right.
But now Brock Bowers is staring me in the face. And to be honest, I've never really done a draft where I'm taking a tight end like this before. And I think I'm going to do it. I'm going to go with Brock Bowers. I want to see how this looks.
I love it for the experiment, right?
Yeah.
Bowers is clearly, the Dynasty 1 tight end. And, if you have a chance to have that difference maker every week, like, why not take it with Bowers?
And this is a tight end premium league as well, right? So
yes.
I love that. But yeah, we just talked about Geno with the extension. I think that's a great quarterback for him to have. If he can do what he did last year with Aiden O'Connell, I just would love to see what happens with Geno Smith.
Of course. All right, Kyle, you are right up on the clock. You got 2 picks for us. So
I agree.
Tell me what you're thinking.
I agree Bowers was the right pick there. I could even see him going as high as the 7th pick.
Yeah, I was honestly shocked that I even had the option.
Wow.
But the easy pick is Malik Neighbors.
Yes,
he
is.
One.
That was the other name I was looking at.
Straight up superstar. You can just tell. He's going to be good for a very, very long time.
My question for you with Neighbors, though, are you nervous that Russ is running the show over there as a quarterback? Because I know, a couple of weeks ago when it was just Jameis, everyone was like Malik Neighbors to the moon.
Yes.
But now it's Russ. Are you nervous with Russ being the quarterback?
It doesn't really change much for me. But when you talk that level of player, the quarterback doesn't really matter to me. Like, he was doing it with Drew Lock and Daniel Jones.
Yeah.
Fair point.
You can balance that off with just a better offense, I think.
I think you also have to remember, like, this is Dynasty. Like, you're going to have this guy for a while. So, sure, maybe next year kind of stinks with Russell Wilson. But if you don't have this guy, it's going to be very difficult to acquire him. So, you might as well get him now.
Absolutely. All right.
Yeah. So, the next pick would be CeeDee Lamb.
Yes.
This was a bit more difficult of a pick. I was between either CD or Puka. I'm going to take CeeDee Lamb. I love Puka Nacua. I think he's one of the best receivers in the NFL. But CeeDee's going to be great. He's penciled in probably top 3.
Yeah, and we had the conversation about CD on this podcast a couple of episodes ago. But I truly believe CD is in that, like, DeAndre Hopkins level, like when he was in his prime, where it does not matter who's throwing on the ball. Like, obviously last year, Cooper Rush, you know what I mean, throwing the ball. But if Dak can stay healthy and they have that connection, you could see another wide receiver 1 season out of CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah, he's so much better with Dak out there.
Yeah. All right. 2:02 on the clock. Will, you went Bowers, and now what are you feeling?
There's a lot of great names that I really like in this spot, so it's going to make it very difficult for me to narrow it down. But we've talked about this guy a lot recently. Kyle just said he thought about him, and I'm going to take him. It's going to be Puka Nacua.
Yeah.
He is just demands targets. Targets are what score fantasy points. He has the hands for it. He's great with Matthew Stafford, and I refuse to believe that the next quarterback that they bring in with Sean McVay will not work out. So I just think Puka is a must-have, and to get him in the second round, I'm ecstatic. Even when he was paired with Cooper Kupp as a rookie, like, he was setting all the records, just dominating targets. So having the opportunities to score is what I want, and that's what you get with Puka Nacua.
Absolutely. I love that pick. So just to round out as it came back to me, off the board now is Amon-Ra St. Brown, Ashton Genty, Justin Herbert, which I really wanted to fall to me. It didn't happen, and Trey McBride. So now I'm sitting here with the 207. Looking at my options, I could go one of these young quarterbacks, to set myself up. but there is some monster value still here at wide receiver, and I'm gonna try something as I go along here. I'm going
That's
to.
what this is all about,
right? We're here to test it. I'm gonna try to stick with the young stud wide receivers because listen, at the end of the day, this is Dynasty. This is multiple years, right? This isn't, a one and done year like redraft, right? So if I can set myself up with some, stud wide receivers, and I can fill in the gaps later on, through rookie drafts and things like that.
Correct.
But as I'm looking at these players, I think the person that I'm going to go here is I'm going to go Marvin Harrison Jr. And the reason why, and honestly, he was a little far down the board compared to others, but I think he is a stud. He is still that can't miss prospect. It wasn't even poor. He had an average rookie season.
There's no connection with him.
You know what I mean? And
Kyler.
And other than Trey McBride, there is no other person to fight for targets there. So give me the superstar wide receiver to pair with my other superstar wide receiver. So
I love that pick a lot.
Yeah. So just to so now we actually set it up where it's a third round reversal. So now it's going to come. It has come back to Kyle. But before Kyle takes his pick, I'm just going to give you a recap. So we had Brian Thomas Jr., C.J. Stroud, Drake May, Nico Collins, Bo Nix, all off the board. Now it comes back to you, Kyle, and your thoughts are.
Yeah. First off, the Marvin Harrison pick, I respect it, but my opinion, Marvin Harrison's not very good.
Wow.
I'm not a Marvin Harrison fan. I don't find him to be an alpha. You watch him on film, didn't see it. Like you can tell these players on film, they're a superstar. That's what I'm looking for here is that level player.
Did you see him play at Ohio State?
I looked at the production. He had the same production as Ibuka. I find him more on the Ibuka level of prospect than it would be a top 5. Watch Neighbors play. Watch Travis Hunter play, who's my pick here. Who I would personally be taking at the 101 over Genty. I think Travis Hunter goes as the second pick in the draft.
I think that's a spicy take right there. You would take Travis Hunter over Ashton Genty?
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love Hunter and I fully expect him to play wide receiver, but I don't know, especially when running backs are such a premium in Dynasty football though, or Dynasty fantasy. I don't know. I listen. Stand up business.
No,
you know what I mean?
He's that good. He's that good.
I mean,
his
receiver tape is nuts.
There's conversation whether he's going to play corner or receiver. I think it's more of a sort of a PR stunt a bit for Travis Hunter to say he's going to play both. Because if you're Deion Sanders, this guy is prime time. He understands how to work the media and stuff. You're going to want to play both positions to start off because now you're going to get picked up by every news channel. Everyone's going to be talking about you. It's good for endorsement deals or whatever. You become like larger than life, basically.
Okay.
First player to do something like this. But if I'm a team, I'm going to play this guy at receiver. If I'm Travis Hunter, look at the cornerback salaries and look at the receivers. You're going to be making more money. And like the variation of being a good corner, like it's rare that you're a good corner for a long time.
Yeah.
So in Travis Hunter, I find him to be one of the best receivers. Like he's going to step up and be one of the most talented receivers in the league, no doubt. So easy pick for me. I understand the risk. It's a risk for people, and it's hard to get their head around to it. But that's the easy pick.
Hey, somebody's got to do it.
Yeah. Hey, stand on business. I respect that. So just to round out quick 3. So Kyle has Malik Neighbors, CeeDee Lamb, Travis Hunter. Woo, you are Brock Bowers, Puka Nacua, and you are up now with the 302.
I am, and I think I'm going to get a little play some mental games here with the rest of the team. So a lot of quarterbacks went early, and obviously, I'm at the back half of the third. It's going to be almost a full round or 2 before I get to pick again. This is a super flex league, so quarterbacks are important, and there's a lot of names here that I like.
Yep.
But I think I'm going to take the chance on. There's enough of them here that I still like where I think I can end up – I'm going to play the odds here and try and get at least one of them on the way back because I think there's other stud names in other positions that I like a lot. And I think one of them is going to be Devon Achane.
I like it.
I've never had the pleasure of owning him on a team up until this offseason where we got him in one of our Dynasty leagues that we did, and I got him on another Dynasty team that I did. His usage is insane. The fact that he gets as much passing work as a running back, like that's just huge for fantasy, especially in a PPR league. Super quick. I just love everything about him. He's got all the skills to be a top 5 fantasy running back every single season. So
Absolutely.
I'm all in on it. The Miami offense can be insane. We've seen it in years past. Last year was a down year, and he was the RB 4 or 5. I don't remember off the top of my head, but that was a down year from Miami, and he still.
But
had
that was also
season.
him stepping into a featured role, right? Because last year was his rookie season, and he split time when Raheem Mostert had a running back 2 season out of nowhere. Yep. But he finally stepped in, and what's great about it is even though he doesn't give it to you on the ground, he PPRs his way up into a top 5 running back season,
and that ceiling is so high. So I'm all in.
Absolutely. So the picks that came after that, Saquon Barkley went off the board, Drake London, JSN, Caleb Williams sniped me, Team 7 right before I was definitely going to go Caleb Williams, but I'm looking at the board and I have an opportunity right now, and here's a tip for folks out there that are doing Dynasty. If you have an opportunity and you're not reaching too much, right, to get a stack, you go and do that. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to take Kyler Murray to stack with Marvin Harrison Jr. just so I have that added bonus. Obviously Kyler had a down season. It is what it is. But I think he's someone who is going to be, he's a dual threat quarterback, which you love to have, you know what I mean? And because they're broken for fantasy football.
Correct.
And I can get the added bonus with Marvin Harrison Jr. It's come back to me, but we had a lot of players go off the board. Rashee Rice, Ladd McConkey, Garrett Wilson, Jordan Love, A.J. Brown, Kyron Williams, Breece Hall, Rome Odunze, Bucky Irving, Jonathan Taylor.
I'm glad I went running back there now.
Yes, and it hurts me so much because I was the reason why I took Kyler Murray and I didn't go running back was because I was expecting at least one of those names to fall back to me, and I was hoping even like Jonathan Taylor or Breece Hall, but unfortunately not. So now I'm looking at the board right now. Right, so there are a couple of quarterbacks that are still here. I could solidify my super flex. I could go receiver here to kind of continue on my trend. I think what I'm going to do, Wu, you're not going to be surprised when I do it.
Oh, I know exactly who you're picking.
Tell me.
Omarion Hampton.
Yeah, baby. Listen, Omarion Hampton. Kyle, I don't know if you know, I am a huge Omarion Hampton fan. I personally think he is the second best prospect in this class behind Genty. I put him and Genty in the same tier. We talked about it a lot. He dominated at North Carolina. He was in the ACC playing great talent, and he put up 1,200 yards each of his 3 seasons that he was there. He's a workhorse back. I think no matter where he goes, he's going to dominate. And I think I've seen some mocks recently where, Genty goes early, I think, to the Raiders, and then he goes to Chicago. Sign me up.
Yep.
Sign me up.
That would be a great spot for him.
But I'm going to take Omarion Hampton right here.
Yeah, I like the pick.
So coming off the board as it's coming to Wu, we have T. Higgins, Ted McMillan, Brock Purdy, Sam Laporta. And now, Wu, you are on the clock with the 4-11.
Most certainly am. And you know what? I think I'm going to hold off on quarterback again.
He's holding.
I think I am. Actually, I know I am. There are a lot of names here that I still like. Obviously, we're so early in the draft, so that's going to happen.
Yep.
I know I'm getting 2 picks here right after Kyle.
Do you take Kyle's guy?
Hopefully. Although I think Kyle is done with receiver, so now I got to think about that as well. There's no way he goes 4 receivers to start, right?
He could. Listen, we go 2 wide receiver. So the setup for this league is 1 quarterback, 2 running back, 2 wide receiver, 3 flex, and a super flex, along with a tight end. So, you might fill it.
Yeah. So you know what? I think I'm leaning towards the running back category. There's about 3 names that I love a lot. And I think I'm gonna play the youth game here. Give me Travion Henderson.
Travion Henderson.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm gonna say right now, I like you. A little thin at receiver, but I like the pick of Travion Henderson to go with Achane because you just have two. I think Travion Henderson is going to be a great PPR play.
PPR gods.
He's just going to get so many receptions, and you pair that with Devon Achane. That's a scary.
You got to play into your league settings. You know, I go tight end with the tight end premium setting. It's a full PPR league, so give me the running backs that catch the ball. I want it all.
I love it. All right, Kyle, you're on the clock. You get two picks here with the
Henderson was definitely my pick.
Oh.
So you got me there.
Nice.
I prefer Henderson over Hampton.
Okay.
I think Henderson's going to get taken earlier in the draft.
Interesting.
Than Hampton.
I think so too. I think what people are there's going to be a team.
Is it the Ohio State brand name? Is that going to be what it is?
I think it's the Jahmyr Gibbs skill set. I think what Detroit did trading up to get him you know what I mean, essentially get their guy to fit their scheme.
Yep.
I see what you're saying, Kyle. I think someone is going to do that for Travion Henderson. Could be, you know, who knows, could be the Jets with Aaron Glenn, could be Chicago with Ben Johnson. They might want to just recreate what they did in Detroit. But so you're on the clock, 4:12.
Yeah, so I typically don't take QB. It's kind of like my philosophy is you don't take quarterback in startup. But I don't. After Henderson goes there, I'm left kind of. I don't really exactly know where I'd wanted to go there, but Penix, I find him to be extremely talented. That offense is going to be excellent. The Drake London, Bijan, Penix, they're going to be great. So I find that to be an easy pick. Let's just get that off the board.
Okay,
absolutely.
I think Penix is a really interesting prospect. I want to see a full season out of him so bad.
Yeah, and it's like he had a great what did he play, like 3 or 4 games at the end of the year?
The last two,
maybe
like 2.5.
And he had, and it was great for if you were someone who owned Drake London, like, you know, he peppered him with targets.
God, big time.
And if that's what you're going to get from Michael Penix, like, I love that. But
he played the last 3, and in PPR scoring, he had 17 fantasy points, 16 and 18.
Yeah, and he's a rookie too. You know what I mean? So you take that, you build on it, and you know, who knows? Maybe he gets better. Yeah. But sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Kyle. Go ahead with your second pick.
Yeah, I'm actually gonna take Cam Ward here.
Wow,
which is
doubled up.
This is insane for me to do quarterbacks.
Now's the time to try new things.
He's gonna be the first overall pick. I'm not a quarterback evaluator, but if he's gonna go first, I'm gonna bet on it. Like compared to either take Baker Mayfield, who is good but old. Trevor Lawrence, he's basically captain, middle of the road.
Yep.
I don't find him to be good at all.
Yeah.
But I just don't see it. I don't see anybody else on the board that I was looking at Tyler Warren.
Yeah.
Just for talent wise, but I think you got to take the QB going number 1 overall there.
I mean, I like Cam Ward. I think he can be a really good NFL quarterback. I'm kind of I think he's. You know, everybody's talking about it, but he's clearly the number 1 quarterback in this draft, and I think he can absolutely elevate a poor franchise like Tennessee, and really have a solid career. I really love the arm talent out of him.
Yeah, I think it all depends on it. Can he survive year 1? Can he survive year 1 in Tennessee with just, you know?
Well, that's what makes me worry though. Is like, do they have enough to support him for a year? Which then like goes back on what I'm saying. Like he's the clear cut number 1 because 9 times out of 10 those guys will elevate whoever you got. But I mean, it's down.
I think he's
down
special.
bad,
I think he's a special enough talent to keep those you know. Keep them afloat, you know what I mean? But then the question is like, can he survive year 1 and then into year 2? Do they make the investment into him? Obviously, you should because he's your number 1 overall pick.
Right.
But does Tennessee do that, or do they, you know, fire Brian Callahan and then we're starting from scratch all over again, which is a recipe for disaster?
Yeah.
But we're in the 5th round now. 5:02. Wu, you are up, and what are you thinking?
I'm definitely thinking receiver or tight end here. I'm going to lean towards receiver. And I think this happens to me every year when I'm going into a draft, whether it be a startup or, a redraft league where it gets to, you know, a few rounds in and there's a certain position where there's just a range of names that for whatever reason, like none of them just kind of stand out to me. And I think that's where I'm at right now with these receivers. Like I love Devontae Smith, but, you know, when you have Saquon Barkley, we saw it last year, the passing production came down. Chris Olave, if he could just stay on the field, like that makes me really nervous how many concussions he had last season. Because I love the talent.
And they've talked about, or you've seen in mock drafts, like
I've seen Tet there.
Tet going to New Orleans, which scares the daylights out of me if you're someone who's Chris Olave manager.
I really like Xavier Worthy. I liked a lot what I saw out of him towards the end of the year and even into the playoffs. He played really well. But for me, like I don't know what the deal is with Rashee Rice. And the whole Kansas City offense makes me nervous because of how just they don't need to score a lot to win games.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I'm at right now. And, I think I'm going to take the guy that we talked about already, and I'm going to go DJ Moore.
Ooh.
I'm really all in on Chicago. I just love the way that they're addressing just gaping holes that for years now have been an issue, and they just haven't, put their foot down and made any kind of change to improve this roster. And I really like Caleb Williams. I'm a Caleb Williams believer. And just Ben Johnson is kind of like the thing that kind of pushes me over the edge. I'm really excited for this team.
Yeah, absolutely. So in between Wu and me, James Cook has gone off the board, Baker Mayfield, Josh Jacobs, and Christian McCaffrey. I was actually eyeing Josh Jacobs here, just to pair up and have an experienced running back to go with Omar and Hampton.
That was the name I was looking at.
So I am still looking at the board. Obviously it's gonna, come back to me. So I'm gonna play the strategy. I'm looking at teams 1 through 5. Team 1 and 2 and 3 have 2 quarterbacks. So
yep.
I don't expect them to go another one, but you never know. Team 4 and 5 are gonna take probably a quarterback here or on the way back. So I think there's going to be a quarterback coming back to me. So I'm going to go a skill position here. And then the question is, which player do I like? I think, as I'm looking at the board, receivers, I'm liking, Devontae Smith or Xavier Worthy to be my third receiver. Or if I wanted to go a second running back, Kenneth Walker's there, and I've talked about Kenneth Walker. I think he's going to have a major bounce back season, especially with the moves that they've made in Seattle. And then there's also Tyler Warren there, who could be a potential difference maker. We've seen in years before, each of the past 2 years, it's been a rookie tight end who's led the league in fantasy points. And do I want to take part of that? But I think I'm going to stick to what I've been doing. Or what I said I was going to do from the top. I'm going to take the young receiver, and I'm going to go Devontae Smith.
Yeah, it's a great pick. I mean, he's a stud. It's just, for me, I don't know how long Barkley will be there. I assume, probably until the end of his career, seeing the kind of season he just had with them, and they go on to win a Super Bowl. So the increase in running production, that's going to level out the passing, and that makes me a little nervous, but I still love Devontae Smith.
Yeah, and for the folks at home, if you were watching and you saw that massive head roll, I just got snaked again. But yeah. So since my Devontae Smith pick,
actually, real quick before we go into this pick,
yes.
So before you made that Devontae Smith pick, McCaffrey goes off the board. Do either of you have any ounce of confidence in this guy for the rest of his career? Let's say you're in a position, whether it's redraft or dynasty. We can even just say redrafts because obviously dynasty, you need to think about age and all that. So we'll just say in redraft, you're in a position to take him at a great spot. Would you rather be right and take on the risk of him not playing, dealing with all these injuries, or would you rather be wrong? Would you rather not pick him and then be wrong about him and have somebody else dominate with him? Because I think I'd rather just not take him.
I'll kick you, Kyle. What do you think?
It's not an easy question.
I like McCaffrey. I don't like him where he just got drafted. I think that's probably
let's say we're talking like redraft.
Yeah.
Because I think Dynasty, there's no way
talking redraft.
Yes, you do bet on Christian McCaffrey. He's one of the best running backs in the league. Like you find though, he's that level of talent and he's that good. He obviously cares a ton. Like he's going to be in great shape. He's one of those competitors that you look for. So yes, I would be very happy to bet on Christian McCaffrey.
But how early you have to take him? Like Colin Leclerc, 101 last year, it can kill your season.
It does.
Like how
that's the game of the game. It's risk reward.
Mm-hmm.
If you hit, you've got yourself a top 5 running back. I mean, how else are you gonna get yourself a top 5 running back? It's pretty
absolutely
difficult.
I was just gonna say, I think what you're thinking is probably what the people are thinking, Lou. And if we're talking strictly redraft here, he's going to get pushed down. He's still going to probably be a first-round pick.
Oh, yeah.
He's going to get pushed down, but when you're there picking at like the 110 to 112, he's the only player there that's going to give you a running back one season.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And, you have to take your shots. See, I'm not a person to sit here and say that, this player is injury prone. You know what I mean? Like, do injuries
totally
happen?
fair.
Yes. It's part of the game.
Yep.
But, I don't believe that players are injury prone players. I think they have terrible luck with injuries. And, you see, just like Kyle said, how much work and dedication he puts into taking care of himself. I don't think he just gets hurt again. So I would be willing to take him. You know what I mean?
I mean, to be honest, my mind kind of changes on this, every now and again. Like tomorrow I could be back on the, no, I'm taking McCaffrey every time. It's just where you have to take him. And God forbid he goes down again. It's just like it can ruin a season before it even starts.
Oh, absolutely. So I am up right now with the 606. Looking at my potential options, I could go. There are a couple of quarterbacks here I could take just to kind of solidify myself, and I think I'm going to do that. I think I'm going to take Jared Goff here. We talked about him in our year in review series, and he is Mr. 4,000 passing yards. Like, he is consistent. Obviously he is. I think he is 30 years old, but I think there have been some changes that I've made to the Detroit Lions. But give me Jared Goff, give me Jahmyr Gibbs, give me Amon-Ra St. Brown, and if he's tied to those players, I think the production's going to be there. So I'm going to take Jared Goff here with my pick.
Fantasy points come from offensive production, and that's what you're going to get with any Detroit Lion for the near future.
Absolutely. So in between Goff, my pick, and Wu's pick, Jordan Addison, Derrick Henry, Chuba Hubbard, and J.J. McCarthy have gone off the board. So
love
Wu,
Chuba there.
You are here with the 6'11".
I most certainly am.
And what are you thinking?
It's definitely time to start thinking quarterback.
Is it?
It is.
Okay.
But I know why you just said ooh, because there's a wide receiver name that's starting to creep up there, right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, exactly. And I know Kyle likes him too. But I do need to start thinking about quarterback here. Kyle just went back to that quarterback.
I was just about to say. I was just about to say.
I'm not taking the quarterback.
Oh, this could be my shot to just keep doubling down and tripling down on this guy because I think he's that talented.
Do it.
And I most certainly will.
Do it.
Luther Burden, Missouri University.
I thought that
he's got to be one of the most polarizing guys in the draft. I don't know what to think.
Listen, at this table, we are Luther Burden fans. We'll tell you that right now. Mm-hmm. What you see on the tape, when the ball is in his hands, he is the most talented receiver in this draft class, full stop. Better than Travis Hunter, better than Ted McMillan, because he's so shifty and able to separate that. It's insane. It was a crime for what Missouri did, and I will sit here and say it again. It was a crime what they did to him and that the quarterback that they had. And I pray that he goes to a NFL team that has a good system around it and a good quarterback, because I think if that happens, everyone's going to be like, why didn't we think of Luther Burden as the top wide receiver in this draft class?
Yeah, if Luther Burden has 0 fans, then we are dead, because I love this guy. I love this guy so much. I've said it. I've said it so much with this tape. It's nuts. What he can do with the ball when there's no space and create just ungodly amounts of space. If he starts getting the ball downfield, it's gonna be scary hours.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so his production this year wasn't good, but the 23 season, 86 receptions, 1,200 yards, 9 touchdowns. Like, you've got to be talented to do something like
Correct.
that.
Yep.
And last year was strange with Brady Cook. Like,
yeah.
He can't even. It's not.
We don't speak his name on this podcast. But no, just like you were saying, 2 years ago, he's competing with Malik Neighbors as being a top wide receiver, and had he gone out then, I'm sure he's probably in the upper echelon of that draft class of wide receivers. But
correct.
Anyways, we got to move on. The love for Luther Burden has to be tabled.
I could stay here all day.
But Kyle, so you're up in the 6'12".
Yeah. So first pick is T.J. Hawkinson. It's another guy that's seemingly dropping down boards a little bit, but he was every time that he's playing, he's a top 5 tight end. If you look back at his finishes, it's
I'm looking at him right now.
He's nasty, and he was a top 10 pick in the NFL draft as well. Is that level of he's very good.
If he plays 15 plus games in a season, he's a top 5 tight end.
Yeah.
Every year that he plays less than that, it is obviously he's missing time.
Now,
so.
my question for you on this one though, are you concerned with Hawkinson's production with J.J. McCarthy being the quarterback? Because before I can't remember who the quarterback was in Minnesota before Darnold. Wow, I'm drawing a blank.
Kirk.
It was Kirk. That's right. So he obviously had Kirk Cousins. He was in Detroit with Matt Stafford and Goff. So are you worried that J.J. McCarthy might not be able to keep T.J. Hawkinson afloat?
No, I think he'll be fine. It's the system. I like Kevin O'Connell. He just runs a good offense. You made Sam Darnold look incredible. We'll see what Sam Darnold can do. I'm a little bit shaky. I don't know it with Darnold, but yeah, Hawkinson. You look at the players on the board right now. There's no one else that can put up that level of production at a position. And then for the next pick, I'm in between Ibuka and Judkins.
Okay.
I'm gonna take Judkins.
Okay.
He's another guy that's probably gonna go second round ish in the draft. I don't know if he's gonna go first. Probably second. So that's just a bet on he's gonna get the ball if he's get that draft capital.
Absolutely.
I think he can be a workhorse too.
Yep.
Depending on where he gets drafted. So I love that spot for him.
I like that. All right, we're in the 7th round. 7:02. Well, you are up, and you are thinking. Who?
I'm thinking quarterback. It's time to start thinking that. There's 2 names I like here a lot. It's between Bryce Young and Tua, and I think I'm going to go Tua because we just had the conversation of not harping too much on people being injury prone.
Yep.
And Tua made the decision that he wants to come back and want to continue playing. So I think that's a positive sign. And when this Miami offense is clicking, they put up numbers. So I'm all in on it. I love Mike McDaniel as a coach, what he was able to do when he came to Miami and really revive that offense and make them, a powerful team, a scary team to play on a week-to-week basis. So I'm all in on that. Bryce Young, it was a close second for me. I just think I've seen more out of Tua. I know what I can get out of him, and I think that's how I made my decision.
Not bad. I like that. So right after you pick Tua, Bryce Young goes off the board. Terry McLaurin, Brandon Ayuk, and Tyreek Hill. So now it is me right now with the 707. There are receivers aplenty on the board right now. There are some tight ends that I could go. But I think as I am looking, actually, I was gonna say I'm gonna go running back, but I'm actually gonna wait. I think what I am gonna do here though is I'm gonna take my pick at one of these tight ends, and I think the person that I'm going to take here is George Kittle.
Yep.
The reason why I'm going George Kittle, you look at the situation that San Francisco is looking at right now. Ayuk tore his ACL late into the season. He's not even going to be ready to start week 1. You have Ricky Pearsall, who had basically a redshirt rookie season, and then there's Juwan Jennings sitting there. And I don't think that's going to be enough, to get going. And you saw, with those, with Ayuk and Pearsall out, George Kittle had probably one of the best years of his career. He finishes the tight end 3. And the number one thing with Kittle is, can he stay healthy? Because when Kittle stays healthy, he puts up monster production. Yes, he's 31 years old, but if you take it in, as I construct my team, right, he's probably one of the older ones on my team, and I know that, okay, I'm going to have to address tight end later on down the road, but, I'm going to take Kittle now as he's, top of his game.
Yeah, I love the pick.
So watching it right now, we have Metcalf goes off the board, Joe Mixon, Mark Andrews, Jamison Williams, Emeka Ibuka, David Montgomery, Mike Evans, Jaden Reed, Dalton Kincaid, and Jerry Jeudy, and now it has come back to me. And the player that I was actually waiting for did come back my way. So this is going to be an auto selection here for me. I'm going to take Alvin Kamara.
Yeah, that's your guy.
I think Alvin Kamara is going to have a phenomenal season. But again, I know he's older, so that's another area of need I need to address, but he is the only show in town. Obviously, this is pre-NFL draft, and New Orleans can do some crazy things. They could take Tet. They could take a quarterback. That, what I mean? They could go running back, But even if they go rookie running back, I think Kamara is the dog, the lead dog in this backfield. And, Derek Carr loves to dump the ball off. That's free PPR points. So, I'm going to roll Alvin Kamara.
I like that a lot. Yeah. You got to go down with the shit, man.
Absolutely. Eat your heart out, Steve. So off the board after that, Tyrone Tracy, Kyle Pitts, rest in peace, Jalen McMillan, Travis Etienne, and Wu, you were on the clock with the 8-11.
Yeah, I got another name for you here. It's going to be Chris Godwin for the Buccaneers.
Ooh.
What I really like about Godwin, I love that he came back to Tampa Bay, took less money because he loves the situation that much, and he loves the guys around him, so I think that's a massive positive for him. Yes, he's 29. Yes, he's coming off a brutal ankle injury. But last year, I believe it was through 7 weeks, or maybe it was up to the point where he got injured. I don't remember what week that was. but there was one guy in the entire league who had more receiving yards than he did. His name was Jamar Chase.
Yep.
And he was and Godwin was ahead of everybody else. So, in the range of wide receivers that I'm looking at here, also, talking about the build of my team, I've got a target dominator in Puka Nacua. I've got a high ceiling guy in DJ Moore who can explode on a weekly basis. I'm taking a shot on Luther Burden, who we don't know what he can do yet in the NFL. I just think Godwin is a really steady PPR piece who clearly has a lot left in the tank based on what he did beginning of last year.
Absolutely. Do you think he's going to be ready for week 1?
I don't, which is why taking him as my wide receiver 4, it makes it a little bit easier for me.
Sure, because you can fill the gap.
Exactly.
Until he is healthy.
Yep.
I like that. All right. 8-12. Kyle, you were on the clock.
Yeah, I will say, just looking at the draft board, rookies are going way too low here. Tyrone Tracy, taking him over the running backs.
Yep.
Here is crazy. I don't prefer just to draft a team full of rookies, but if they're gonna drop like this, you kind of have to.
Okay.
So first pick is going to be Caleb Johnson. That's another guy that's going to probably second round draft capital.
Yeah, and we talked about him, on the podcast. I think that there's your tier break of rookie running backs where he's the last of the potential elite running backs.
The other pick I'm going to have is
Whoa,
Cam Scatterbo.
We're just going young here.
Did Jeremy tell you to make that pick?
No, me and Jeremy, one of the smartest people I've ever met. Yeah. We tend to agree. I mean, we see fantasy football similarly. We both individually watched the tape, came back, and we're like, what are we? We see an absolute superstar in Cam Scatterbo.
I mean, if Hart was a stat, he'd be up there.
Yeah.
It's not just Hart. The guy had 20, almost 2,400 all-purpose yards.
Yeah.
He
was Heisman Trophy finalist.
He was the entire offense for Arizona State. He almost got them to the national championship.
Yeah, he almost single-handedly beat Texas.
Yeah.
So he's in that same tier as the Hampton, Henderson. That to me is the tier. He's back of it.
Yeah.
But he's going to be very, very good. And he's got that heart. He's got the competitor.
Yeah.
You listen to him talk. He's that
listen,
guy.
I see it and I like it. The concerns everyone has is what I didn't realize, and I actually heard about this just recently, is he, as big of a guy as he was 10 pounds heavier than what he was the year before.
Really?
So he lost 10 pounds and became, a little bit more shiftier. I think he still needs to lose, maybe 10 more. But, obviously I'm concerned about the speed. But when you watch the tape, he's just got that dog in him. And I think a team is going to just see him and say he fits what, X team name is, and they're going to take him. But if he goes, are you still in on Scatterbo if he goes, let's say he's a day 3 pick, if he goes rounds 4, 5, 6?
No.
Yeah. So
that's a big deal breaker to me. He is at least going to have to go in the 3rd round.
Yep.
But I think he's going to.
Yeah.
I think he's going to go. He could go in the 2nd.
Yeah. No, he definitely can.
Yeah.
It's just does the team make the
Yeah, this is going on the assumption that he's going to be a 2nd to 3rd round.
Absolutely. All right. We are in now the 9th round, 2nd to last round. Wu, you are on the clock. What are you thinking, buddy?
I'll be honest. If I didn't take Puka in the 1st round, which I'm very happy that, or excuse me, in the 2nd round, which I'm very happy that I did, Devontae Adams is a name that jumps off the board to me here. I just think he's going to have 2 sick years in LA.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm not going to take both of those receivers. So that is one name that I did look at, though. Not a ton of the wide receivers stand out to me. Ricky Pearsall's an interesting name. We have to see what they do. I think he is in a position to step into a much bigger role for them.
Yep.
So that's an interesting name for me. Khalil Shakir is a great PPR start every single week. He can get you 10 points, and you don't really have to worry about him. And then there are some rookies here that you could take a shot on when it comes to receiver. But I am looking towards running back. I haven't taken one in a while, and one of them is a rookie. So I am going to go with James Conner. I think he's 29 right now. I think he's got 2 to 3 more solid years in him. He is the workhorse back. There's no other running back in there that I think should intimidate him at all. He is an angry, physical runner. He will run through your face. And And I don't know his pass catching numbers off the top of my head, but it's
not great.
Yeah, it gets worked in here and there. It's not great, but I think with my pass catching upside out of my other 2 running backs,
you definitely could afford it.
I'm comfortable taking that and knowing this guy is going to get 15 plus attempts a game.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. That was the person I was absolutely eyeing with my pick. Is what it is. We roll, but off the board, Josh Downs, Isaiah Pacheco, Tucker Kraft to go with Kyle Pitts and teammate. What are we doing there? And David Njoku. So these are all good things that I want to see coming back to me because it just opens the board up for me, and I just have a lot of opportunity. I'm looking at the board, and I don't know. I'm trying to hem and haw.
How is Shador still on? Like this is insane that Pacheco is going to go before.
Yeah.
Well, we also have to see where these guys get drafted. ADPs will start to fluctuate.
I'm sure it will change.
I was going to say, I'm sure when you see like, one of these teams that have like the world in front of them for like running backs, like if like whatever running back goes to the Chargers or goes to like Denver or goes to like Vegas, you're just gonna see them probably fly up the boards and it'll change. Definitely will change. But what I'm gonna do here, I'm gonna stick with receiver here. I am not gonna go Devontae Adams. I am going to go Mr. Trey Harris at Ole Miss.
Yeah.
Trey Harris, I've talked ad nauseum on this podcast. I love this dude. I think he is a potential dominator on the field. I think he just has to go to the right team and has to go to the right system to develop him because he only played eight games at wide receiver at Ole Miss and had 1,000 yards, so the talent is there. It's just he has to refine, the skill set. And if I'm going to take him with my wide receiver 4, so be it. Off the board, we had a lot of wide receivers and a few running backs go off the board. We had Ricky Pearsall, Devontae Adams, Michael Pittman, Colson Leveland, another rookie off the board, Brian Robinson, DeAndre Swift, Zach Charbonnet, Trey Benson, Keon Coleman, and Cortland Sutton. So now I'm looking at the board. It has come back to me. I was actually hoping one of these running backs came back to me. Unfortunately, they didn't, but it is what it is. So as I'm scrolling, I see another running back that I think would go really nicely with my team. I think the person I'm going to take here is I'm going to take Najee Harris. Now, we just talked about how a rookie could come in and have a great workhorse, work with the Chargers, but they did sign Najee Harris. He is not entirely washed yet, and that may be the difference maker for them taking a day 2 running back versus a day 3 running back. Because if Najee Harris has a great offensive line, which the Chargers do have, he could get a lot of touches in the red zone, which equal touchdowns, which equal fantasy points, which I want on my roster.
Yep.
So
agree with all that.
Going from now my pick to Woo's pick, we had Ramondre Stevenson, Matthew Golden, Khalil Shakir, and Isaiah Likely. Woo, you were on the clock with the 10-11.
Most certainly am.
What are we thinking?
I got 2 names in my head. One of them is going to be Geno Smith. Get that stack with Brock Bowers. I think he can round out my super flex roster so I can start 2 quarterbacks if I want. But there was another name, Tony Pollard out in Tennessee. And, we just had that conversation about Cam Ward. And Tony Pollard is involved in the passing game. And I think when you have a young quarterback, I think positions like running backs who can catch the ball and tight ends who can kind of sit in a pocket for you 5 yards in front of you, they're going to be a young quarterback's best friend.
Okay.
And it could be a hyper target. Not hyper target's not the right word. But when he gets in trouble, he knows where to look, and he's going to try and look for Tony Pollard. So that's why I'm thinking about that. So I'm debating if I want to go 2 quarterbacks for this roster or if I want to have another running back.
Well, I mean, you do got to fill the super flex.
I do have to. But I mean, technically, I can just not start 2 quarterbacks if I want to.
That's true. You could.
And take the upside of a running back. But, for the purposes of this draft, I will go with Tony Pollard.
Okay.
Yep, Tony Pollard. I just think, in this draft, I would really want to target Geno Smith to get that stack with Brock Bowers, but I just think the upside of a running back is much more important than a 34-year-old Geno Smith. So
yeah. All right, Kyle, you are on the clock to round us out.
At this point in the draft, you're my starting lineup is sort of filled. I feel like I can have players that are going to play. You're just basically looking for upside and getting guys that are going to hold their value and are young. I'm not taking anything that's over 25 years old.
Okay.
Is my philosophy going deeper into the draft. It's easy picks, honestly. You got 2 guys that are going to go in the top 10 of the NFL draft.
Okay.
That's all there really is to it. They're going to get a shot. Like I said, I don't evaluate quarterbacks. Receivers is my thing as a former receiver.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's easy. It's easy. Sanders dart there. The upside. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Like
right.
Isaiah Likely, Shakir, like Stevenson. These guys are irrelevant.
Yeah.
Absolutely irrelevant.
But they are proven players already. We don't know what Sanders and Dart have.
I was gonna say
we don't know what any of these rookies have.
Right. You never
Even
know.
Genty could stink. We have no idea.
We're gonna start that. But so we are through the 10 rounds. So what I'm gonna do, we're gonna go around the table, talk about your team. Just tell the people what you have, and we'll see. So Wu, I'm gonna start with you. Tell us what you got.
Yeah. So my starting quarterback is Tua Tagovailoa. My running backs are Devon Achane, Travion Henderson, James Conner, and Tony Pollard. For my receivers, I got Puka Nacua, DJ Moore, Luther Burden, Chris Godwin, and then my tight end is Brock Bowers. Looking back on this draft, I'm actually pretty happy with how it came out, especially with taking a tight end in the first round, which I never, ever, ever, ever do. So I really love that. Now I have a premium position filled where I know this kid's a stud, especially with the 1.5 point scoring system that we have for tight ends.
Premium.
I didn't get a traditional stack, but I think in the situation of Tua and Devon Achane with how much he catches the ball,
sure.
I think that's a stack opportunity.
I count that.
I would say stack adjacent. We'll put it at that. I get some a fun rookie player in Travion Henderson. I can't wait to see this kid on a football field. I know I have a bona fide star in Puka Nacua. We've talked about it in a lot of episodes, so I won't continue on that. I get a boomer bust player with DJ Moore, and I'm leaning towards more of the boom this year. I'm all in on Chicago. Brock Bowers, like I just said, he's already a stud. I got to stand on business with my guy, Luther Burden. I'm going to have to get a jersey wherever he gets drafted. I know that. And then Chris Godwin, James Conner, and Tony Pollard, 3 veterans where I know exactly what I'm going to get out of these guys, and I can be confident starting them every week.
Absolutely. Kyle, round us out your roster and tell us what you think.
So I have Michael Penix, Quinshon Judkins, Caleb Johnson, Malik Neighbors, CeeDee Lamb, TJ Hawkinson, Travis Hunter, Cam Scadabo. And I have Cam Ward, Shador, and Jackson Dart.
Yes.
Very young. That's exactly the kind of team I'm looking to do is basically just take the young guys. They're going to hold their value, and I can move them for other pieces.
Mm-hmm.
Like when this starts, if let's say Jackson Dart comes out and starts looking like Bo Nix.
Yeah.
The value of that guy is going to be 2 first-round picks probably. Can anybody tell me a world where Najee Harris comes out and anybody cares a thing? So what you're doing is you're looking for upside, and you're trying to project into the future. Guys are going to hold their value.
Okay.
And these running backs, who knows what happens? They're going top 2 rounds. They're going to be relevant.
Sure.
And they can score.
Yeah, you need the draft capital behind them.
Yeah, and then Malik Neighbors, CeeDee Lamb, those are 2 top 5 receivers. Travis Hunter is I think is going to be excellent as well.
Yeah.
So.
I like it.
I'm going to round out my roster. I have Kyler Murray, Omarion Hampton, Alvin Kamara. My 2 wide receivers are Justin Jefferson and Marvin Harrison. George Kittle is my tight end. My 3 flex players are Devontae Smith, Trey Harris, and Najee Harris, the Harris brothers, I'm going to call them. And then rounded out for my super flex is Jared Goff. As I look at my roster, I definitely went with the trend. And I said at the top of the show, I think taking receivers early actually kind of helped my roster, and that's something I've never did. I was always let's take the quarterback now and just solidify ourselves and move on. But I was able to get a stack with Murray and Harrison, which I'm excited about. And then I just knowing about my roster, I have a couple of 30-year-old running backs, or one 30-year-old running back. One feels like he's like 35, and Najee Harris. But I know that running back is something that I'm going to need to address. Like it's kind of hard in Dynasty football to have 2 stud running backs because injuries happen, situations change. Running backs are probably the have the fastest life cycle in fantasy football. So if I can sort that out, and while having two stalwarts in Justin Jefferson and Marvin Harrison, I'm happy about. And then I have in the wings Devontae Smith, and then who knows what you get out of Trey Harris.
Right.
So all good things. Definitely would be excited if this was my team, but this is just a mock draft exercise.
I agree.
But ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. That is episode 14 of the Fourth and Fantasy podcast. We had a great time. Kyle, we appreciate you on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you're welcome anytime at this table. You come back anytime. Obviously, we're going to highlight to you the Dynasty League that we are in Kyle's league, and maybe we'll have Kyle back on to talk about that. But please make sure you are following us on all of our socials. Twitter at Fourth and Fantasy Pod, Instagram and TikTok at Fourth and Fantasy, YouTube at Fourth and Fantasy. Make sure you give us a like, follow, share, subscribe, all the good things. Maybe even leave a comment. You never know, you might see yourself on the show. But that is all we got for you, ladies and gentlemen. Take care, be safe, and we'll see you.
See ya.